Well, they need to get their running game going, North Melbourne, to have any say in the game. Just have a look at the free kick there.
Not a lot in that.
No, it was a push in the side, man.
And towards Richards, Moore had a piece of it. Cunnington, Swallow works his way through some traffic nicely. Rawlings wide, and all Swans. Kennelly coming off a spectacular first half. Might just take it to the line here. It does. 17 possession opening half for Ty Kennelly. And the good side for North Melbourne is they've got so many players who can actually lift their rate here in the second half. Lockie Hansen, 9 goals in the past 2 weeks. 1 kick, no goals so far in this game today. He could spark up. Swallow. Maybe last year's best and fairest could inspire them. Swallow kicks toward half forward. Lindsay Thomas, there's another one. Just 1 goal today for Lindsay Thomas after he kicked 7-5 2 weeks ago. He might spark up. Gets a handball out, but to McLean. Back to Kennelly. A wobbling, rolling ball. No, it doesn't get a chance to roll. Cunnington cuts it off.
Well, at least North Melbourne then put pressure on Kennelly's disposal.
Looks like Sam Wright is running with Kennelly. I'm sure he won't get anywhere near as much space as he did in that first half.
Just a 5-possession first half for Swallow. Hansen gets it inside 50. Doesn't get the benefit of a free. Jack got it from Bevan. Back to Kennelly. Campbell came at him. Made him give it to Grundy. Caught. Just got it away in time. O'Keefe in some space. Only got one-on-ones to kick to. Pratt with more. And that's almost a win for Pratt. Ball in.
Need first goal of the Kangaroos just to get some good feeling through their team at the moment. They've battled away. Not too bad. Their pressure's been good, but just haven't had their hands on the ball enough to really pressure the Sydney Swans.
Daniel Wells is another one. Just a 10-possession first half for Daniel Wells. He could get it going in this term as well. Greenwood thumps it forward. Grundy went with the best fists. Lindsay Thomas, Smith gets it away to Shaw. And last line of defence, they get out of trouble again. Bouncing ball towards Jack. Harvey's with him. Have been side by side all game. Super tackle, Brent Harvey. That's ball.
It is.
That's got to be ball.
Great tackle. Didn't give away the free kick. Was all over Kieran Jack, Brent Harvey. Fantastic work.
He's worked hard, Brent Harvey. He's going out for disposal number 18.
Gee. But if he's going to pass it to players who let him down like that, Garlett can't take the mark, and Sydney come up with it. McGlynn, Kirk, Hanbury. No one to go to free, although Trent Dennis Lane made some space.
He does. That's one thing he actually does very well, Dennis Lane. Finds space. Hasn't been used all the time, but can find space.
Kirk gets away from Rawlings. Too far out to score. He knows it, so doesn't play on. Waits for the troops. Short pass, McVeigh. Half volley, not paid it regardless. Swallow. Boundary line looming. Ball out. Good tackle, Kirk.
Well, they've had a great duel, Brett Kirk and Swallow. They've actually nullified each other. Swallow's had the 7 disposals. Brett Kirk only the 10. 10 disposals. They took his eyes off the ball there. Bruce Garlett. It's a great example for anyone.
Looked to dish it off before he'd received it.
Greenwood had a piece of it. Hanbury likewise. Mumford back through. Wells lays the tackle. McGlynn. And can't do anything in that small space. You would count that as a win for Kirk, though, wouldn't you? Swallows there, young,
Definitely.
rising best and fairest. Yeah. Kirk's running on fumes at the moment.
I agree. It is a win for the Sydney Swans. Kirk's doing a good job. I mean, you think if the Kangaroos are going to win, they need Swallow to have big disposals and very important disposals into the forward 50. He's just not been given any space, as every opponent that comes up against Brett Kirk is given no space at all.
Goods, was that a handball? Just got it away. Kirk got it from Hanbury, gives to Jude Bolton. He kicks across the face. Behind. And if you're unaware, Brett Kirk is retiring at the end of this season. 232nd game today for one of their all-time greats. Brent Harvey, he'll play again next year as a 33-year-old, which is good news for the Kangaroos. Well, not good news that he's 33, but good news he's playing again. Boy, do they need him. Cunnington, Harvey, Wright. Hugs the boundary and maybe hugged it a little too closely. Warren into the fence. It was touched. And it'll be a ball in, although some fans thought it might have been out. Umpire's having a chat here. Out on the full.
Have a chat, we'll watch runner.
So the two umpires are having a chat to see if they can get this right, out on the full or not. No.
Ty Canelli just trying to talk him into it.
He's not as good as Favola. Fev talked him into it a couple of weeks ago.
He did. Actually took it off him here at the SCG.
It did. Tig's a little more diplomatic. Bastanak tries to burst through. Mumford wrapped up by Bastanak.
What a big man.
Adams helps him.
One of the matchups I'm really liking here in the second half from Brad Scott is Daniel Wells has gone on to Adam Goods. So hopefully that'll free up Wells a little bit. Goods will still get his disposals. Wells will try and hurt him the other way instead of just tagging Adam Goods.
And Adams with the clearance. Inside 50. Hanson can't mark it. Bevan can't crumb it. Petrie caught. Got a kick away. That's good news. Campbell tracks it down. Manhandled by Shaw. And a little toe poke to the boundary and we'll get a ball in.
Brett Kirk is tough there.
That's great work from Brett Kirk. Paul Bevan, he's the loose man in defence. Just got to make sure he keeps the ball in front. Allowed the ball to slip through.
He's the heart and soul, Brett Kirk. Have a look at that. Swallows know he's the toughest, one of the toughest players in North's team. He just beat him with that hard ball.
Ball knocked down. Mumford clever for the man you spoke of. Kirk to Bolton. Speaking of heart and soul, Kirk, Jude Bolton, Adam Goods. Heads wide towards Richards. Robbie Tarrant, first game hasn't been magnificent just yet. Can he make something of it? He can't. Turnover. McVeigh, Ferrito gets them out of that mess. Rawlings floats it up. Mumford. And the mummy rises.
That's a strong mark. Daniel Wells put some reasonable pressure on him, giving away a lot in size and weight, but good pressure, but great grab from Mumford.
Danger.
Well done, Petrie.
Cut off did Petrie, knocked it down. Grundy in the mud. Caught by Bastanak. No prior opportunity. Bastanak stripped him of it. Lindsay Thomas should stroll in. If it bounces, he's away. Roberts Thompson tries to shut him down. He misses. Can you believe it?
Well, it was a great pressure from Roberts Thompson, though, Dwayne. I agree with you that it was just the pressure. You could see Lewis Roberts Thompson here. I don't know whether he gets... Oh, no, he's kicked it before he hit him, so it's a bad miss in the end.
That's all mental pressure.
No, it is. No, it was too casual, Dwayne, in the end.
Well, I mean, he could be casual, but he needed to be mentally solid enough to know, well, I'm going to take this hit, but I'm still going to get my kick away well.
But it was the mental pressure, you're right. It was well called there, Dwayne. The mental pressure of Lewis Roberts Thompson bearing down on Thomas, but he had to be strong enough in his mind just to focus on kicking the goal straight.
Yeah, and know you're going to get hurt doing it.
Well, that's right. That perceived pressure builds up over a half a game. You know, you've got the Sydney Swans, they're always on to you, so yeah, just lack of composure.
Meredith takes some time. Been on the list a couple of years now. Pick 2607. Brett Meredith. And just his first game of the year, and he's doing well. Pushing the back to O'Keefe.
Again, just a couple of little signs here for the Swans. Positive signs. You had Kirk going lower and harder, and then you've had O'Keefe pouncing on the loose ball to wear a free kick. They're only little things, but they're little wins.
And this man has got his hands on the ball on a couple of occasions early in this third term.
Jude Bolton and Ted Richards came hard.
Well done, Ferrito. Good spoil.
Cunnington, Adams, nice sidestep. Kick was touched. O'Keefe touched it down to Malcheski. Little slip, back to O'Keefe.
No right foot.
Lindsay Thomas came at him. Ty Canelli hacks it forward.
Garlic still there.
Takes on Bevan. Not the man to be taking on. No prior opportunity, though. And he gets the benefit of the doubt. Well played, umpire.
It was well played. Daniel Pratt just had enough time to realise he had to brace and try to crash through the Paul Bevan tackle. Good effort from both players.
Yeah, man raised with a rugby background. Paul Bevan knows how to wrap up a man coming at full tilt. Holding free.
What about the garlic skills of Ty Canelli there off the ground, though?
True.
Talk about skills from other codes.
Daniel Pratt would have played a bit of league odds just as well growing up in Brisbane.
It's true. Shuffles it through right, does Daniel Pratt on cue.
He's hurt himself, he's cramped up, Daniel Pratt, just behind this contest there. Hopefully it's cramped.
Well, we're only 9 minutes into the third term, so in some ways it'll be good if it's cramped, but in some ways it won't be. Pratt, because they need him.
Well, he didn't want that.
And he's cramped up again.
He did not want that ball.
Now.
Isn't that the way? You're in a bit of discomfort, you've got cramp, the ball comes straight to you. So he needs a little spell on the interchange. If he can get there, just to get the legs freed up a bit.
Well, his man will be free. Goods gets it out right. Bastanak breaks free. Nice hands. Goldstein right. Could go for goal from 50. Runs to 49 and runs too far.
Well, it was well played from Nick Smith because he initially went at semi-right and then he stayed back and then he went again. So it put semi-right in two minds. Again, it's just that mental pressure of doing the correct thing.
Well,
the
that's
basic
right.
thing,
Just the
basically.
awareness he'd need to have a bounce. I mean, I didn't mind the fact that he was attacking the 50-metre arc, which was good because there was a loose man deep for the Sydney Swans defending, so he just had to probably take a bounce before he attacked the 50.
Colby, Daniel Pratt's trying to get off the ground. He's cramping there.
He is, mate. He's with the doc, but I hope it's cramped because he was in a bit of strife.
It's either cramp or a wooden leg.
Lewis, Roberts-Thompson to Bevan, to Kennedy. Smith. Goods calling for it long. Mike Pike's the man. Rises, got a hand to it, back of the pack. Greenwood, Meredith with a toe. Ferrito with the boundary if he wants it. Kirk keeps it alive. Hanbury helped him out there. Inboard. Moore. Kennedy. Snap toward goal. Richards gets back and
well
brilliant
done,
mark,
McIntosh.
Great
Oh,
grab.
he set himself for that. He could have excused him for spoiling the ball over the fence, 8 rows back, but backed himself in to mark that ball.
Can he have a breakout half? To Greenwood. Cut off by Mike Pike. Knocks it down. Jack. Short. Kennedy.
You've got to hand it to the Sydney Swans. Whenever they're free, they're in the corridor. They're not in the dead man's area. You see McIntosh, beautiful contested mark, eyes only for the ball.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But that little kick around the Sydney Swans area from 70 metres out, there's always a Sydney Swans player.
You're right, Spud, but we spoke earlier. You think you protect the corridor as a defensive structure. You want to protect the corridor, but it's been very open through that part of the ground all game.
Yet another clever recruit from another club. Played every game this year, Josh Kennedy, with his new club, and he can't kick the goal to give them a 5-goal break.
That is a talking point, Dwayne. I know you love your footy and all over the stats and the history of teams. Is there a better club than the Sydney Swans to rejuvenate and recycle players? Now, a lot of the players came when they were in good touch as well, but there's some fantastic players over the last 20 or 30 years that have come to the Sydney Swans and really thrived.
So you're going right back to Tony Lockett and co.
I think you could go back further. I mean, Tui Bolton
Jared
Williams, Jared Healy, but I mean, the modern ones, Mumford has been outstanding, probably the recruit of the year for mine.
Yeah, that's true. Campbell and Lindsay Thomas takes the mark. Yeah, Greg Williams would have to rival Tony Lockett as one of their best. Over the head of Warren, back of the pack. Petrie, has he got his feet back? Manhandled by Roberts-Thompson. Gathers, but is in turn gathered. Can't get the kick away. Now does, but rolls it to Grundy, who can accidentally fumble it through if he wants to. Oh, that's deliberate. 3 players just ganged up there and took it over the line and looked at the umpires and laughed.
Absolutely deliberate, but good pressure from Lewis Roberts-Thompson. Drew Petrie just trying to get the free kick, but yeah, you said before in the call, the good sign is he's actually out there, which is great. Well, we thought he might have been out for the remainder of the season in the first half.
He does look like a player who's played 1 game for the year, though, Drew Petrie, coming into this. He looks very, very rusty if he's not injured. Well, sure.
Yeah, it's a tough one when you've got an injury to your leg. It means you're unable to run. When you get an injury to your shoulder or your wrist or your hand, you can do all the running, all the match simulation running. You don't have to handle the ball. But when you've got a leg injury, it means you're off your feet. So it's the game where he'll be, the lungs will be bursting after the first 10 minutes today.
Bastanak thumps it back. Petrie up. Roberts-Thompson with the fist. Good to see he's got his leap back as well. Malcheski runs with Kennedy's help. Through the glue in the middle. McLean pumps it long. Richards.
Well done,
fist from Thompson.
Yeah, good work from Thompson. Just the kick was probably a few metres short for Teddy Richards. Have a look at this big jump
Oh, he had
from
that.
Drew Petrie. Yeah, it hit him fair between the ribs, let's say. But good leap.
McIntosh slapped down. Mumford caught. Wrapped up. Ball up.
Just that run and carry for the Sydney Swans again. Kennelly's already had 8 disposals this quarter. Malcheski 5. So they're trying to do the right thing, North. They're just playing too good a footy. They're reading the ball too well. Kennelly and Malcheski now.
Jude Bolton slide. So too Meredith. So too Mumford. Cunnington kept his feet. Campbell spent it before he'd earned it. Taps it with his toe. Pursued by Malcheski. Gets it all the way to the wing though, Campbell. Warren, another player coming off a very quiet first half. Ben Warren. Just the 4 possessions. Ball up. That's 4 possessions for the game. All those gathered in the first half. Goods. Malcheski again. Campbell half smothered.
Well, issue, Dwayne, for all those North forwards.
Everyone gave that up. It wasn't out. It is now.
That's nearly got to be a free kick to Sydney against McIntosh. The ball was already over the ground, so that was silly in the end. I think he's thinking, well, Malcheski, you've had 24 disposals. I'll make sure you probably don't get too many more.
They'll just switch his.
He's a bit sore too, Nick Malcheski, after that hit.
Kennelly, so it worked. It was worth giving the free away. Roberts Thompson, as long as they don't get a goal from it. Petrie backs back with the flight. Grundy.
Oh, they're lined up in the corridor again.
Oh, Petrie cuts it off, but no one to go to. Had to go backwards. And sells a little bit of candy again.
Well, he's got
short
his agility
pass
back, which is great.
Harvey.
That's 50.
Is it? Oh, very generous. You can see different weekends that can be 50-metre penalty.
Maybe Harvey has form in that area. A little dive.
Maybe they thought he went to ground a little easy.
That wasn't a good kick, but Rawlings made it okay. Rolled it inside 50 and O'Keefe mops it up. Bevan, Smith, Roberts Thompson, Shaw. They're not in this at the moment, the Kangaroos, but they're not out of it either.
Swallow just on the ground. Good courage from Kennedy too, though, because he had no idea that Swallow was coming off the bench.
Jude Bolton long, flicked by Trent Dennis-Lane, taken out of play, and it's stuck on a 23-point lead right now.
Well, there's Josh Kennedy. He had eyes for the ball, then he's looked up and thought, gee, where did Swallow come from? Come straight from the bench.
We see that happen quite a bit these days with the mass rotations that players can be blindsided.
It's been a graveyard for North here in recent times. Not one here since 2004. O'Keefe, Shaw, Kirk. Goods needs to be a good kick. And Goods claims he got his arm slapped. Trent Dennis-Lane, Swallow, Harvey, and the breakout player Levi Greenwood. He's got Ben Warren in a one-on-one. This kick needs to be good as well. Kennelly thumps it clear. Greenwood knocks it down. Kennelly another toe and another ball in.
Getting back to David Whitty, played a few games with Sydney and a few with St Kilda. He ran on the bench one day at Moorabbin and ran a yard. That's as far as he got. Got knocked out. Got cleaned up, unfortunately. Just was 1 metre onto the ground.
Was it Michael Reeves ran about 5 metres on the ground and Dipper got him?
Yeah.
Carried straight back off.
David Whitty beat him by 4 metres.
Kick smothered from Hanbury's boot. It's been an ugly third term. Neither team's kicked a goal in this quarter. Campbell manhandled off it. Bastanak tucked into the pocket. And it's kept alive for a while. Meredith played for the free. Kirk lays a tackle on Swallow. Started this quarter. Sydney was 8-6. They're now 8-8. 2 behinds added by them and North Melbourne in this term.
That'll suit Sydney, Dwayne, because they got the 4-goal lead. So if a game is played on these terms, it's on Sydney's terms, because North have to do something extraordinary.
Bastanak. Well, Richmond did something extraordinary against the Swans last week, as well as heads wide towards McIntosh. This time last week, the Swans led by 5 goals and lost the game. Right now, they lead by 4, essentially. 23 points the margin.
Well, that's what Paul Roos, I mean, I'm sure he's not focusing on that last week, but he'll be still anxious. The fact that dominated possession once again in this third term, 79-44, but haven't been rewarded on the scoreboard. They just need to get some decent delivery into that forward 50 and penalise North for the lack of hands on the ball.
And both teams coming into this game with a loss last week as Harvey pumps it high. Warren flies. Malcheski down to Mumford. Back to Malcheski.
He's on fire.
Breaks free. Sends it long. Trent Dennis-Lane. Hands are good.
Well,
he scored at second grab. Knocked out by Tarrant. Then to Thompson. Back to Tarrant. Wins the possession for his effort. Adams.
No, it was good from Robbie Tarrant there. Just didn't give up the ghost. Then he just, some players lay off when that first hand's on the ball, but then the body spoil was the thing that spilt it. So well done, Robbie Tarrant there.
McIntosh got it from Warren. Sends it long towards Petrie. Caught behind. Back of the pack. Good opportunity. Campbell jumps onto it. Kicks the first goal of the term. It took 20 minutes.
Geez, that's a good result for the Kangaroos. Just finished speaking about the Sydney Swans hadn't hurt the Kangaroos on the scoreboard. Now, Kangaroos gone up the other end of the ground and they've been dominated as far as possession's concerned. They were able to get a goal against the run of play. And the key point there, I think, was at least it was a good, strong contest against Drew Petrie. You'd like ideally to get the ball to the front, but the fact there was space over the back, a good contest, took Lewis Roberts-Thompson out of the contest and allowed Campbell to run into a goal.
It's a great result for North. We said they needed the first goal. It's taken all of 20 minutes to kick that, but they've got the first goal. So,
and a sniff that they're still in this contest with 17 points. And don't worry, at three-quarter time, they'll be reminding the North players that they stopped last week, the Swans. We can do it to them again.
McVeigh with the clearance, sends it long, and a good mark. Standing in the hole was right. I mentioned they both lost their games last week, these two, but North Melbourne, the better form in the loss. They lost to the top team in the competition, Geelong. The Swans lost to the bottom team in the competition, Richmond. And Richmond might be on a flyer at the moment, but they were bottom last week when they went into that game.
And as we said pre-game, I mean, the Swans have lost 6 from 8 going into this round, and 3 in a row to the Kangaroos up until last week's loss to the Cats, which most teams do these days.
Good opportunity again here. Goldstein.
1-1.
Petrie can go. Goes and doesn't get it. Good, slaps it down. Moore. Malcheski enjoying his day at the office. Back to Moore.
Ted Richards long.
Ferrito backs back. Richards.
Started off the game well, Teddy Richards. He's been a reasonable target. A bit quiet in the last quarter, but good grab on that occasion. First half was good.
Meredith.
Dangerous kick.
And Malcheski makes it good.
That's a great grab under a lot of pressure, and he's
Great
got
courage.
a little headache out of that one too across the left ear.
In the last 7 minutes, McIntosh falling on top of him, then Cruz Garlett there trying to affect the spoil.
That's one of those ones I could imagine you'd have up as a coach cue. Is the elevated kick into the corridor just leaves you very vulnerable in your defensive half, because everyone's run forward. Turnover there is usually resulting in a goal.
Goods wide. Jude Bolton can't get there. And the ball out of play. 17 points the margin. And 3 goals from the lead, North Melbourne.
You're right, Alistair. Especially if it's a good kick, you can't move. Malcheski couldn't move, and there's a North player running 15 metres away. So you've got to make sure that player's about 25 metres away.
Yep.
And a free kick. They both wrapped each other up. It'll be Lower's ball. Pivotal game this.
Well,
8th spot on the ladder up for grabs. The winner will take 8th with 7 rounds left in the season.
Well, the last 5 minutes, North have gained the momentum. The first 15 minutes, Sydney had all the momentum, didn't score. So it's crucial North get some scoreboard pressure now with this momentum that they've got over this last 5 or 6 minutes.
Nice hands from McIntosh.
He's been good in this quarter, McIntosh, and Cunnington's been outstanding with the 7 disposals. Harvey 6.
Mumford gets back. Solid.
Well, that was a silly kick for McIntosh because he kicked it to his direct opponent. And if you know both ruckmen are playing a kick behind the ball, that's the last place you want to kick it to is your direct opponent in Mumford.
It was actually Mike Pike, and he floated into it like it was Mumford. It was a brilliant grab.
Oh, Mike Pike, sorry.
He's growing as a player, Mike Pike. Smith wide. Roberts-Thompson. Wider, Hanbury.
Well, it was well read, Brian. That's why I just assumed it was Mumford.
Yeah.
So he's growing in stature. That's well read.
Shaw can't mark it, and Wright thumps it out. We're down to 2.5 minutes to 3/4 time.
Shaw pushed forward as a leading target. Usually comfortable back pocket, across the half-back flank as a running distributor of the ball.
Bright sunshine hits the SCG for the first time today. It played almost the entire first half in rain. If you've joined us late, it's muddy in the middle. We had a game on before this, and it chopped the whole centre square area and the goal squares. That's why the umpire's tossing it in the air. Goods trying to slip a handball out in the Kirk direction. Rawlings tapped it out. Swallow dragged into the pack. Sydney Swans' theme for the week from their coach Paul Roos has been go harder for longer. They didn't go hard enough for long enough last week.
4 quarters of footy. That's what we talked about before the game.
We did. It's an arm wrestle here. 1 goal, 2 to 2 points in this quarter. It is just a tough, dogged arm wrestle. Massive players around the contest. See Paul Roos. A few discussions on the interchange bench. Just seeing where he can find a goal in this term.
Goods
Yeah, good
might
hit.
find it from arguably his best player, Adam Goods, across the face. That'll do Mumford.
They did the play well then, Mumford. Again,
And on the angle, but this is kickable by Shane Mumford standards.
Yeah, they're not deep pockets here at the SCG. I think he should just have a look. He's done the right thing, looked inside, and he's getting a bit of direction from, I think, Reshaw at top of the goal square. Just kick the goal.
He's an All-Australian contender the season that he's had, Shane Mumford. String of losses when he was out. That's what he has ahead of him. He bends it back, but not enough.
of course, Seaby's got an injury also. He was in terrific form at the start of the year. Seaby, Bradshaw, Craig Bolton, three structured type players that Paul Roos basically hasn't had since round 6 when they're on top of the ladder.
North Melbourne 90 seconds away from keeping Sydney goalless in this third term. Lower. Bangs it long. Lindsay Thomas gets there but can't get there before Bevan. And Thomas almost pulls up. Now he chases. Smith wide. Grundy breaks past Goldstein. Bevan. Grundy down to a minute. Lewis Roberts-Thompson.
They're pushing up hard.
Yeah, they've defended really well this quarter, North.
Yep.
They've corralled well.
That's good.
And they've protected the corridor. In the first half, Sydney owned the corridor. So North have really made sure if Sydney do get the ball, they're pushing him wide. Lee Colbert, how are both benches down there?
Praddy's the one struggling for North. There he is on camera. He's came off with cramp in his hamstring, but it's actually his joint on his lateral side of his right knee. So having a fair bit of trouble in the docker, putting plenty of time into it.
Fans are getting a little restless here at the SCG. Mount
Paul Roos would be too.
backtracks and then gives to Lewis Roberts-Thompson. So they've used up virtually a minute working it from fullback to halfback. Jack. And unless they get a mark from this kick,
I should have given it the first
won't
time.
be time enough for a score. McVeigh dragged down a little high there on Swallow. No free either. And the siren sounds to end a scrappy third term, a goalless third term for the Sydney Swans. But North Melbourne, they trail by 23 points at halftime, now trail by only 3 goals at the last change. A spot in the 8 up for grabs for the winner. Sydney by 18. 8-9-57. North Melbourne 5-9-39.
Well, it appears that way, but he's gone into the doctor's room when he went off the ground to start with, then has returned to the field. So maybe there was a little injection just to get him through the remainder of the game.
Final term underway. Goods the clearance. Rawlings grabbed it right and now lower. Warren runs for it and does gather. Strange attempt at the mark. Kick inside 50 towards Campbell.
Good
sole
spoil.
goal scorer of that third term. Bumped off it by Bevan. Lindsay Thomas struggles but gets it away. Adams, good hack forward from 45. He's nailed it.
Well, that's a great start. Sydney Swans had 50 more disposals in the third quarter, yet they didn't score a goal. North scored the solitary goal. It's the last thing the Sydney Swans needed, but more importantly for North Melbourne, they had to kick the first goal to get back into this game. And just see the work rate. Drew Petrie, we thought, was just about cooked for the second half with a sore leg, but it was a great second effort. Kicked the ball out to Lee Adams, and he kicked truly. Great goal, great start.
First goal of the game for Lee Adams. He was a late inclusion against Geelong last week and kept his spot in the team. And that could be the fire starter. From the ball up, clearance is important. Swallow is swallowed. Ball up again.
Well, all the mental pressure's on Sydney. They'd be aware of what happened last week. They were 33 points up against the bottom side, Richmond. North are coming hard.
As Lee Colbert said, Paul Roos mentioned that at three-quarter time. So a lot of pressure, a lot of awareness that we did fold up in a deck of cards last week. Can't do it again.
And didn't he emphasise it after last week's game that it was against the bottom team?
Another sore player there for the Kangaroos. And that's not a good sign. Looks like Gartlett. Gartlett is very sore there on that left calf.
Got it strapped up, testing it out. Goods trying to get a clearance away. It was a sloppy kick. Kirk played for the free and got it. a little too easily.
Well, he saw the legs and thought, I'll just take a step closer into Goldstein and try and wear the free kick. So that was experience.
Too clever for everyone there. Goods takes on Goldstein, hacks a kick forward. Right, tacked it nicely. Adams, Harvey, Cunnington wide. Hasn't been a great day for Lockie Hansen. Beaten again here. Grundy, Jude Bolton, back to Grundy, back to Smith. No one to go too forward, although now in the corridor, he spots McGlynn. Plays on quickly. They lead by 12. Inside 50 for Ito.
Holding.
He was being held. Plays on to advantage.
Making all the play north.
Mark that. Tough ball, and it is marked by Bastanak.
Petrie's one-on-one.
Bastanak might go for goal from 55. Petrie, Roberts-Thompson. Ball through for a behind. It's an 11-point lead.
I just had to put the ball to Petrie's advantage there, Alistair. Even 15 metres out from goal so he could run and jump. We saw in the third quarter he still had his jumping ability there.
That's right.
Just to kick it, you see here, just kicked it straight on top of his head, which made it so easy for Lewis Roberts-Thompson to defend that. So it was body on body. He had to kick it to space so Petrie could run and jump at the ball.
Jude Bolton, Lewis Roberts-Thompson, Ted Richards didn't complete the mark. Grundy content to take it out.
The forward half, no doubt, that's where the Swans are falling down. They just haven't had a strong, big option across half forward. As you've seen, they've mixed and matched up forward. When McVeigh's up there, Richards is up there, Reece Shaw's up there now. But just need a big contest to cause a spillage.
Well, you know the man that Paul Roos may be toying with the idea to go up is the guy there, Adam Goods. He's had 26 disposals. He'll be toying with the idea, do we need the dual Brownlow medalist to go and win the game for us?
Wells, almost. Kirk did get it. Jack, boundary line. The crowd's silent at the moment. They have not had anything to cheer for in this entire second half. They're still goalless for the second half, Sydney.
What does Paul Roos say? We start with Goods in the middle. We're still in front by 11 points. Let's leave him there.
Well, that's the thing, but he is confident with the 26 disposals. Maybe instead of resting on the interchange bench, go rest in the goal square.
So Garlett back on. Harvey shrugs a tackle, tries to set it up. Scott Thompson hits Greenwood. He's got numbers on the open side. Campbell's the man he wants. Can't get him. Bevan. Little tap to his own advantage. Half held by Campbell. Bevan knows he's got assistance. Well played, Campbell. Trent Dennis Lane, though, made it a 2-on-3. Smith. Moore. Back again.
It's well worked, and they're lining up. Got to use the ball through the middle here. They've got numbers.
Malcheski found Goods.
Well, how smart was Malcheski just to get back off that scrimmage and know you've always got that release out the back.
Adams is split. We'll go down to Lee Colbert shortly. Up there, a man down. That's a poor kick.
Well, that's a sign that they're trying to play safe football. In the first half, they took the game on through the middle of the ground. You see where Adams had the head clash there, but he had numbers on the open side there, Adam Goods.
He did, and held play up. There's a little bit of frustration from a few of his teammates after that poor kick.
Flick down towards Hanbury. Mumford goes back and gets it. Dropped it as he was tackled. Harvey shuffles it out. Greenwood. Inside 50. Floater. Straight through a number of players. Ty Kaleli hunts it back. Gives it up to Smith. Some poise. Some time. Some indecision. And then a splendid pass. McGlynn. He dropped it, but he got it back. Chips to half forward. Moore.
Go long, quick to Richards in the goal square.
He's got Goods running to the right.
And now an open goal square if he goes all the way. Caught to play on.
Now Goods is on his own.
Well, there's a distinct lack of confidence going forward from the Sydney Swans players. Now they're going to try to take their time and work their way into the 50.
Hanbury to Goods. He had the reach on Harvey, and Hanbury was wise to it. This is a massive kick.
Well, it was a great option from Hanbury. He was aware that Brent Harvey, he's the skipper, and the skipper Adam Goods knew there was a height advantage there, so that was a good option.
Final term is now 7 minutes old, and the Swans have not kicked a goal this half.
He'll take his best.
26-minute mark of the second term was their last goal.
Runs around on arc a little bit. Sends a long ball to the square. There was a push on the line. It's there.
We talked about Adam Goods going forward, kicking a goal. Paul Roos, true to his words, stay in the middle, kick a goal from there. He's kicked 2 goals. He's just about the best player on the ground now with Malcheski and Canal. He's had the 28 disposals. That was a magnificent kick in these heavy conditions. Tired. He's been running all day in the midfield. It's his first game as a non-baller. Won 2 Brownlow medals there. You can see there, just got over the line. Great shepherd there from Mumford. Great game, Adam Goods.
High pressure kick from the superstar for the Swans, Adam Goods. 17 points the margin. A lot of time left in this.
He's been the most influential plays. 28 disposals, 7 inside 50s, 2 goal assists and 2 goals, Adam Goods.
And it will help in a clearance here. Goods, Hanbury, Kirk, Kennedy. Short pass, wide pass, Trent down the
Good
line.
hands. Big mummies in the corridor. Push it forward.
Goods wants it again.
Once again, he finds space, this young fella.
Called to play on. Pratt comes at him, and Goods still all alone. And he kicked one from about a metre closer only a minute ago. Is he inspired enough to send this one through?
The adrenaline's in the veins.
It might just test his range by that extra metre though, Dwayne. But yeah, the confidence is up. When you're that extra metre out, sometimes you try to kick it a lot harder and spray it, but he's in good touch at the moment.
Gives it some air. It's long. It's a behind. But they'll take that. It's a 3-kick game. 18 points the margin. Right to Rawlings.
They'll take it just because there's forward 50 entries with scores on the end of them.
Absolutely. Swallow. They need to take the game on now, North, and they know it. And that might help them. Cunnington to Greenwood, the hero a month ago in North Melbourne's last gasp win. O'Keefe, Hanbury just off the bench. Sits it up wide. Wright gets back. Mumford flies with 2. Trent Dennis Lane stayed down. Centering kick. Just a little too far for McGlynn. Mike Pike. McGlynn's with him. Pike out of the air.
Go in.
No way.
Oh, what a goal.
It's priceless.
Oh, no, they're punted out of bounds. You can't do that. That's goal of the year for the big rugby man.
That is a goal we've never, ever seen before in the history of the game.
That's criminal.
And it's been denied. Back into play.
That was the goal of the century.
They might get it regardless. O'Keefe, he kicks goalward, and that's a behind.
Who cares about that?
The boundary umpire's got no sense of
Let's have a look at Mike Pike here. Little volley. Where is it? It's close. Oh, it's in by 3 feet. And that's gone in.
Oh, that's an unbelievable goal.
Oh, it's a
actually
post
the post
anyway.
anyway.
Right, okay.
It ruins the story.
Yeah,
Why did we show that? Shouldn't have showed the hitting of the post. It just deflates it a little bit.
yeah, it does now.
But North Melbourne's still in this contest.
Well, now
More
we can say it was a great decision from the umpire.
Yeah,
Boundary
great
umpire.
Warren short to Harvey. Well, theoretically, physics people would tell us that was impossible. Harvey inside 50 and swallowed by Jude Bolton. Running back with a flight.
He's had a good month, Jude Bolton.
Malcheski spears it low. O'Keefe used
nudge.
the body.
Yeah, O'Keefe's saying, I didn't use my hands, but still you're not allowed to nudge in the back.
The 2 movements got him. Goldstein
Well
kick
done,
smothered by
Mike
Mike Pike.
He's on fire.
He is. And so is
Knows
Malcheski.
this guy.
He can't get away from the ball at the moment, Malcheski. This will be number 32. Just a little shove. Not a lot in it.
He accentuated it, Ben
Yeah.
Have a
Cunnington.
look at the kicker, Malcheski also. 22 handball receives.
He's
His
great,
partner
Mike
in
Pike.
crime there.
Canelli, Meredith, he played on. He took the step, ran into trouble. He kicked the goal. They stayed off him from 45. Post.
He had Mumford on.
Very short.
Very short. But he backed himself in.
That's
he backed
all right.
himself in. He's only missed by 6 inches.
Right. McVeigh, he used the body but not well enough. Lockie Hansen, hardly been spotted.
That's his first mark, right?
And
That's out
the
full.
kick's terrible. 9 goals in the last 2 weeks, Lockie Hansen. He was fantastic for the last couple and been horrible today. Now Chesky to Bevan. Time is on their side.
Drew Peachy can hardly run now, boys. I just saw him over the other side of the ground. Now let's have a look. Lewis Roberts-Thompson's got the ball. Look at, he can barely man the mark now. I think he'll be off very shortly.
I wonder whether it was at half-time. It was recognised that there is serious damage and he's probably out for the season. Well, let's give it one more go to get through the remainder of the game, maybe.
So a little jab.
Yeah, possibly, because he's hobbling now, and probably the local is just wearing off, because that's not good.
No, they're a man down, essentially. They're playing with 17 and a half men at the crucial stage of this game. Jude Bolton, surely there's someone on the bench 100% fit would be a better option. Kennedy wide. Shaw tracks it, misses it.
We could put Goldstein or McIntosh deep. Or Lockie Hansen. As I said, Lockie Hansen's kicked 9 goals the last 2 weeks. It's amazing. The vice-captain comes in and all of a sudden Lockie plays that secondary role. The last 2 or 3 weeks or the last month he's been the go-to player. 4
Indigenous players all on the bench at the same time there. They could put Daniel Wells to full forward. He's not going to be on. He'd almost be better resting there.
We've got some issues though, boys. Gartlett's also carrying, he's got a calf issue. Daniel Pratt's out there as well with that hamstring and knee issue as well. So they've got a few injured blokes who are actually out on the ground.
Cruz Garlett's had that injury almost since the opening term. Pike throws Goldstein out of the way. Goldstein accentuated it and wins the free. There's a huge amount of time still left in this. 11 minutes and time on. Ball to the outer wing. Crowd starting to rustle up some enthusiasm. 20 points to margin. Remembering they lost after being 5 goals up last week, the Sydney Swans. 8th spot on the ladder up for grabs. Pike caught behind. 2 ruckman, Goldstein and McIntosh with him. Adams thumps it forward. Swans with the numbers. Big leap, no mark. Grundy dragged down, free kick. Malcheski play on advantage. Smith bounced it, but he didn't come back up. No advantage there. Moore shorts it. Hanbury needed to motor and got there. Tries to spear the pass, turns it over. Scott Thompson.
Yeah, the Kangaroos have dropped big numbers back into that defensive half just to try to block up the leads that were being offered by McVeigh, Dennis Lane.
Nasty kick together, but Bastanak made it okay. McIntosh, somebody from the Kangaroos needs to be the man. Needs to take this game on.
That's exactly right. They've got to take their game on through the corridor, swing through the corridor and risk leaving your defence open with a turnover, but give your forwards a chance.
Hansen got it from Tarrant. Sends it to Ferrito, who's inside 50 and can have a rare shot at goal.
Strong body, Michael Ferrito. I think it was Bevan or Hanbury forward there, but good strong body marking contest. We see this week in, week out from Michael Ferrito. Just played as a key position defender for a lot of his career.
Kicked just the 1 goal this year, Michael Ferrito. He hasn't had that hero game that we thought he might have over time. 142 games, never grabbed a Brownlow vote, not even a 3rd best on ground. And that, a horrible kick at a terrible time.
They desperately needed that. Time's going to be Sydney's friend, especially when they keep missing shots on goal and opportunities. North Melbourne kicked 6 goals for the game. North, and they need to kick 3 in the last 8 and a bit minutes.
Well, they need 4 scoring shots, 4 goals to hit the front.
Kennelly heads wide, just a touch by Scott Thompson. That was enough. So 16 minutes gone, final term.
McVeigh's been very quiet, he's only the 5. Brady Rawlings, another terrific game from him. He's had the 25, so done a very good job on McVeigh.
Good's back on the ground and is pushed forward.
Holding, Bartlett's free kick.
So,
Just here against Bartlett. No, you're 32.
So Garlett's free. He didn't even know it was his. So Cruz Garlett to take it. Just outside 50, spears it short. Bastanak. It'll take his best.
Another one of the good youngsters, Bastanak, 17 disposals today, same as Cunnington.
Backs himself in, loads up. It's a monster. Petrie on the line. Wells a little tap. Lockie Hansen has hardly seen it and nearly, but not quite, hits the post.
Great hands there from Daniel Wells. Good deft touch from Drew Petrie.
It's back to a 3-kick game. 18 points. Malcheski Everybody takes a deep breath.
Yeah, good zone in place from the Kangaroos, and no movement is it's evident that the Swans are tired.
Oh, that's on the full.
That was very close. The
that was
umpire
on
was
the
in a
full.
great spot, but so were we up here, Dwayne. They looked over the line.
That was over the line for mine.
He's their best kick, Melchesky, but he really chopped off a little bit too much there.
Roberts Thompson towards Pike. Thumped down by McIntosh. Jude Bolton caught in the back. Another lucky one goes the Swans' way.
Yeah, we've seen more of those in the back decisions paid this week in those tackles.
Thinks about going backwards. Heads toward Mumford. Not a bad option.
Well, he's just on the ground.
He's fresh.
Now
He gives to
Chesky's
Goods.
all by himself.
They can nail it shut with the goal here. Turnover. Lockie Hansen. Goldstein. Can he get back in time? He does. Big collision. Fantastic mark.
Good courage from Big Goldie. He would have known that Lewis Robert Thompson's coming. You see Drew Petrie. He made him earn it. It was a good clean hit there from Lewis Roberts Thompson.
Oh, yeah, I don't think Drew Petrie should be that disappointed. Could have been a lot nastier, but just pulled up at the last minute, LRT. But big shot at goal from Todd Goldstein.
Absolutely. He's kicked one today. He's got a 5-goal game to his name, but he's kicked 5 goals, 9 for the year. Huge kick, and they're still in it. 12 points to margin.
Good hard running there. Wasn't a great kick from Adam Goods. Yeah, they control the game there, Sydney. He's just squirted one. The option was on. It was just a terrible kick.
It was a
Come off the
shocking
outside.
kick.
He just shanked it out the inside of his boot. But good courage here from Goldstein. Lewis Roberts Thompson. I can remember in '94, Tony Lockett was running out of the goal square with Peter Caven. Very similar situation. Come off a hell of a lot worse than that. But both players just going hard at the ball there.
A big contest for both teams. Kangaroos need this clearance, as do the Swans, if they want to hang on to this lead. But the Kangaroos got a bit of confidence, down to 2 kicks now.
From the clearance. Almost Swallow. Got a toe on it. Adams attacked it hard in the glue pot again. Adams does get the clearance. Play untouched. Wells knocks it down. Harvey wants to kick it himself. Should have given it.
Dropping the ball is very
great
close.
Tackle, Kieran Jack. Tackle of the match so far. Harvey's eyes were looking over the goal umpire's hat.
Well, that was a Sam Mitchell season-resurrecting tackle.
He's probably seen his father do a few of those in his day, Dwayne.
Absolutely.
It would have been back here as well at the SCG when they used to play a lot of rugby league here.
Gary Jackie, superstar father for rugby league.
Could be the game-ending tackle. Still 2 kicks in it. Ty Kennelly wide. Kennedy. We've ticked into time on. Spears it to Trent Dennis Lane. Punch down. Cunnington took him on. Got the handball up. Tarrant, the first gamer, taken across the line. It's been a long, long wait for Robbie Tarrant, but his day has finally arrived. It might yet be a memorable one.
He's been okay, Robbie Tarrant today.
Goldstein the flick down. O'Keefe almost tackled before he got it. Ball up. More seconds tick by. We're inside 6 minutes.
Lee Colbert.
He's battled hard all day, Drew Petrie, but he's just limped off, so hopefully that foot injury is not as bad as his previous 2.
From the slap down, Levi Greenwood, gang tackle, no prior opportunity.
Well, Sydney will love this. They'll just love the fact that the scrimmages around the ball. What North need to do is separate, isolate, get the ball to space.
They got McGlynn off the back of the pack here, the Swans. Just sitting back as the defensive sweeper, which is a good setup.
Kennedy dragged out. Goldstein doing the ruck work, the tackling, the clearances. One of the most improved ruckmen of the season, Todd Goldstein, and he's up against another one, Shane Mumford, who's an All-Australian contender. Mumford, hands in his back a little there. Kirk, Goldstein, little tap was good. Greenwood kicks smothered. Rolls toward Adams, attacked it nicely. Left it behind though. Hanbury, short. Kirk for the crumb, didn't come to him. Jude Bolton tried the little knock up, didn't work. Sam Wright just as competitive. Ball in.
Look at the attack on the ball from McGlynn. Just coming back, went in low and hard.
Like a spinning top after he hit Lee Adams.
Did get hit high. Great work.
McIntosh this time does the ruck work. Ball knocked down. Kennedy again. McGlynn, the man you were speaking of, gives it up to Meredith. 60 from goal. Can he hit a target? Heads long, Shaw, bouncing ball, gathers in the pocket. This would be a miracle. It is a miracle.
Well, the little half-back flank has been moved forward and just kicked a ripper to ice the game, and that is great work. Have a look at McGlynn coming low and hard and just got hit high. This one, Reshaw allowed the ball to bounce and just around the body there from the boundary line, if you don't mind. A little leg break as well. And that is a very nice goal, and you'd suggest with 5 minutes to go, that's just about it. One last chance for the Kangaroos at this stoppage. They must score and get a clean clearance.
That's just about the game. Well, he's had a great day in the coaching box in the boundary, Paul Roos. Adam Goods into the middle. Reece Shaw pushed him forward. He's had the 17 disposals, and of course the spread of goal kickers. They've only kicked 10, but they've had 9 different goal scorers, and we said pre-game they had to share the workload down there, especially with Goods going into the middle. It looks like he's gone to full forward now, Adam Goods, so he's had a stellar game. 32 disposals, 2 goals, 2.
Ball up in the mud, Bastanak. Have they got a roll of the dice left? Wells, little nudge, tries to get it. Kennedy, slip, superb though. Gave it to Kirk, and that's too high. Free kick to Hanbury, and more seconds tick by. It's a 3-kick game, 18 points the margin, and maybe the Kangaroos' final chances will be eaten up in the next 4.5 minutes. Big collision on Mumford by Ferrito.
Their late spoil, Mark, had already been taken by the big mummy in another good display today.
They've lost 6 of their past 8, the Sydney Swans, coming into this. They knew how crucial this was. They were top of the ladder after 6 rounds. Push in the back.
They're just winning all the hard balls now, Sydney.
Mumford winning so many of them again.
Yeah, well, no, last week they let one slip. 33 points up against Richmond. They're going to play the game out here today. There's no doubting that.
They thought they got a spray last week. Imagine losing this one.
Shaw flies McIntosh, and he was grabbed after the mark there by Shaw. They've relaxed on that.
Yeah,
50.
I think a lot better on that one now. That was momentum. McIntosh going into Shaw, so that was a fair decision.
And again, Mumford, that kick, you've got to understand where your direct opponent is. It's McIntosh who marked the ball, the long kick from Mumford. Even if you kick the ball short down the line, the last thing you want to do is just kick it long down, into the forward 50 to your direct opponent in McIntosh.
They've got a huge trickle-down effect, the Swans. They've got players who do one inspirational thing. That forces another player. He does something inspirational. Mumford, Kirk, Goods, they've all had a piece of the inspirational play at crucial stages. Bevan to Shaw, whose last goal was inspirational, and he might finish it off.
Now he's taking contested marks out of the goal square.
The power forward, he's another one of these players that have got a second chance at the Sydney Swans and really thrived. Was right up there in their best and fairest last year, and has been swung forward. Nice use of the body here. Just held off his direct opponent, Daniel Pratt, and took a nice chest mark.
And Daniel Pratt's a very good contested one-on-one player, so he'd be disappointed with that effort. It was a super kick also.
Came into this game with only 2 goals for the season, Reece Shaw in 13 games. This for his second in this game, and bends it back. And the Swans might have their mojo back.
Yeah, well, they're back. They're certainly back. That is a very good win at times, certainly through that third quarter. There was nothing pretty about the Sydney Swans, and they just struggled to score. But they've been able to finish off the game extremely well. There's plenty of options in this last term in the forward 50, and that was certainly the deficiency for a major part of the second and third terms, but they've been able to find effective avenues to goal. Reece Shaw being probably the surprise packet, moving off the half-back flank and playing it full forward.
The art of coaching, he's a super coach, Paul Roos. He gives the boys an old-fashioned bake after the game 7 days ago, and then said, that's it, move on, won't even do the tape, and we need a better effort next week. And that's seriously good coaching.
Harvey's tried hard again, possession 27, Hanbury. I mentioned he fizzled a bit last week after starting well. Just a 6-possession second half for him last week as Richmond took the game away from him. He is a big-time contender for the NAB Rising Star, Daniel Hanbury, this year.
That was a genuine contested mark in big traffic.
And his stocks continue to rise. Levi Greenwood shrugs that tackle. No one to go to. Rawlings. Bastanak floats it forward and another rise. And this time a miss from Bevan. Goldstein to Warren to keep the door open a little. But he can't. Only a behind. Would have made it 3 goals in 2 minutes required.
That's a good grab.
Hanbury mark. Now you're pointing out, Danny, the problem is with the Kangaroos, they don't touch the ball. 282 disposals to 418 to the Sydney Swans. They just haven't had enough possession.
I've liked their style because the inside 50s are the same.
Yeah.
And so their style, there's nothing wrong with the style that they're playing under Brad Scott. But you have a look at that, it's 130 more disposals Sydney, but the big worry is the uncontested side of it, with the handball receives, 170 to 90. And a lot of that's league speed and work rate.
Hanbury, Kennedy, Moore slaps it out. McGlynn, they're not done with yet. The Swans, Kirk, bang, caught by Farito.
How good was Kirk
back.
there?
He could go all the way. Shaw again. It rolled past him. Stops in the mud. Getting back. McVeigh got a toe to it. But Pratt's hand knocked it through.
How good was Brett Kirk? He got nailed on the tackle and still had the ability to handball over the top to McGlynn. And we just see a great effort from Daniel Pratt and Shaw here. Just gets a hand on it before Shaw and McVeigh get in there.
I think Reese's eyes lit up there. He's back at 3.
How easy is this full forward, Copa? You don't have to run, the ball gets kicked to you.
Well, it might not be all over for North Melbourne when you look at their draw as Wells kicks it long. Richmond next week and then Essendon the week after. It's a brilliant mark from Pike again. 2 teams that they could, in theory, with their best form, beat with ease. Good fly.
This is good mark, actually, in the context of the game, and a good one for Adam Goods and Paul Roos, as he said pre-game. Going to just try to get Adam Goods in some form, put him into the midfield and run around, and he's done that for 90% of the game. Push forward in this last quarter, and that's a great way to wrap up a very good game and a good win.
That's been the difference. The ability of the forwards when they've gone in there to Sydney, run and jump at the ball. North have been long kicks to stationary targets.
For the biggest lead of the game, 30 points. And it's good to have him back. Haven't seen that big, smiling Indigenous mouthguard for a while.
And he's got an outstanding record against North Melbourne as well, Adam Goods, over the years. So he would have known if the days of 8 had turned his form around. But his work rate's been there, just the finishing off skills. And today he started the game in the midfield. Now he's been pushed forward. Another improved play there, Mike Pike. It was a beautiful weighted kick. You see Goods there taking the ball as high as point, so he's kicked the ball to space to allow Adam Goods to run onto the ball.
Three goals for the game for Adam Goods, and just to continue on the draw home, North Melbourne still to play 4 teams below them on the ladder in the run home. Richmond, Essendon, the West Coast and Melbourne. So still a chance. Sydney only to play 2 teams below them on the ladder in their last 7 games. Greenwood thumps it forward and Moore takes the mark. Sydney next week have Carlton at Etihad Stadium and then Melbourne at the MCG, their next 2. Short pass, out of side. Smith hands it back to Nelly, who's been outstanding again. Kirk likewise. Sydney by 30 points. They're going to win with the biggest margin of the game. A shot in the arm for their season. The Sydney Swans, under siege from North Melbourne, hold on to 8th spot on the AFL ladder with their 8th win of the year. 12-13-85, North Melbourne 7-13-55. And Paul Roos, in his last season as coach, still a chance to finish with a finals series to his name, and that has been his trademark here. They've played finals virtually every year he's been here. This is his 8th season. 12-13-85 to 7-13-55.
It was just the run and carry for the Sydney Swans. The hardness was there from North, their tackling pressure was there, but the uncontested possession, when the game broke open for the stoppages, Alistair, when you look at the stats there, 301 uncontested possessions to 161. That's nearly double. And that comes with work rate, comes from Reece Shaw, Malcheski, Kennelly, Adam Goods. When the game broke open, it was their run and carry.
It was, and the run and carry off half-back, they play a uncompromising, tough, hard-at-it game, but their run and spread today was extremely good. They'd be very proud of the way they've bounced back today, and they were certainly challenged by the Kangaroos, who tackled at every opportunity, pressurised at every opportunity, but just couldn't find an efficient way to get the ball through the sticks. And it looks like Lee Colbert's down with probably the best man on the ground, Ty Kennelly.
He's just paying out my shoes, boys, but Ty, great win today. It was a bloody hard game. I mean, you had to work all day.
Yeah, look, it was tough. It's been a hard few weeks. Look, we talked about it, trying to change something during the week for us, and we didn't review the game against Richmond, and I suppose Richmond are up and going, you know, they're beating Freo as well, so we weren't going too bad, but it was a hard-fought win, typical Swans win, and it's great to get back in the winners' ward. You know, it's good to be back at home as well, winning.
Ruzi spoke about fighting harder and longer, and that was certainly his message at three-quarter time.
Yeah, it was, definitely. Look, we started playing to the team rules, we started playing to the game plan, and it is a marathon, and we've been playing in spits and spurts, and a lot of our leaders, I suppose, we've been playing, some have been playing well, others haven't been playing well, but today I think everyone played well, and that's when the Swans are playing well. You know, a lot of us don't get a whole lot of possession, but that doesn't matter, because as long as we're all contributing and playing a role, that's when we generally win our games of football.
Goodsy freed up in the middle of the ground. He was outstanding, wasn't he? Ran around all that free space and then went forward and kicked a couple of goals as well.
Yeah, I said that during the week. You know, he's been working extremely hard, and he's been copying a lot from the media, from you guys. You know, but he works extremely hard, and he's a very pro footballer, and he's a pro Sydney Swans player, and he's the captain of the club, and we expect him to play like that every week. You know, and he cannot lower his standards, and we expect that from him every week. You know.
Did you blokes water the ground before the game, mate? It was a bit gluggy in here.
It is a bit Irish. You know, there's a lot of wet, sticky weather, but that's what we like playing in Sydney. You know.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, thanks.
Ty Kennelly, he was outstanding today with 34 possessions. Nick Malcheski 34, and Brett Kirk wants to go out in style with another final series.
There's a little bit of an Irish jig there from Brett Kirk. He was terrific today also, the 19 disposals. His direct opponent Andrew Swallow had the 12, so another win to Captain Kirk. They are the heart and soul of the Sydney Football Club. And Ty Kennelly was right. You talk about the evenness of the team, Lynchy. There's only two players out there. One was a ruckman, McVeigh, who was well tagged by Rawlings. He didn't have double possession, so everyone else had over 10 disposals.
That's right, one of those players you spoke about during the game, Mike Pike, he looks like he's really starting to develop. He's starting to get a bit more of a handle on the game, on how the game moves and the tactics, but his body use is getting better every week. And see Brad Scott just going through the numbers now. He'd be disappointed. They would genuinely have come here today expecting to get a win. They've been in some good touch up until last week against the Cats, and they went down, but disappointing loss today. So they're out of the 8 and looking for a win. And looks like Lee Colbert's got another Swans player down there on the ground.
I've got the big mummy. Mummy, you must be enjoying it, mate. It's certainly, you're playing great footy yourself, but your partnership with Mike Pike's really coming along.
Yeah, me and Pike sort of started to forge a bit of a good combo there. So I think Steve's might be struggling a bit to get back in, maybe.
Very good. It's always good to have good competition. But see, boys today worked exceptionally hard throughout the whole game. You had to always put in, especially against the Roos, because they never give up. Yeah,
no, it was definitely a better four-quarter effort from us this week. We've been sort of struggling to do that, so good to get the win on the board.
You might actually review the tape this week.
Yeah, or maybe.
Thanks for your time, mate.
No worries.
Shane Mumford start again today in the Sydney Swans after a horror run, losing 6 of their past 8, win a big contest against a rival for their spot in the 8. Sydney Swans by 30 points. We'll be back to wrap up from the SCG.